Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to talk about the iPhone 6, one of my old iPhones that I've had since it came out in September 2011. Let's just go over the specs of it again quickly. It's a 4.7-inch screen. It has an 8 megapixel camera at the front. It has a headphone jack, port connector, speakers at the bottom, and you got the 1080p camera at the back with a flash. Obviously the old school antenna lines going across the back here. The form factor of it is still quite good. I still like holding this in my hand. It's much better than some of the massive phones that you get nowadays, but again, that's just preference if you want to have that or this. It's running the latest iOS 12.2. It's still fast. I have no issues with this at the moment. Again, I mean, I don't use this as my phone anymore now, but obviously it's still nice to have around just in case, to have a backup phone or whatever. It's still, like I said, it's nice and light. It's not heavy. It's got obviously the A5 chip in there with 1 gig of RAM. It's still pretty good. Again, I haven't been using this obviously as my daily driver, but it's really nice. It's still snappy. It's still fast. I mean, you can get into apps and sort of whatever, do what you want and stuff. But yeah, I mean, for a cheap kind of iPhone 6, it's not bad. It's not really that bad. And obviously you get the iPhone 7, 8, and all sorts of stuff. 6S is. The funny thing is that you're still getting updates on this phone regularly with the latest ones that's coming out at the moment. It's still really good of Apple to actually upgrade it. That's one of the things I like about the Apple ecosystem. The phone is over a couple of years old now, 4 or 5 years old, and you're still getting updates on this phone. That is a testament to Apple to keep the old phones going. They're not obviously abandoning people with the older phones. It's still for a day-to-day phone, it's still brilliant to use. I think obviously you can make your phone calls, and you obviously do WhatsApp and social media. It's really good. Obviously for the heavy intensive games, it's not going to be that good. It's going to slow the phone down. It's not going to just do those kind of things anymore now, obviously. So day-to-day stuff is really good on the phone. Like I said, it's still snappy. It still does its stuff. I mean, like I said, it's getting the iOS updates as well still. And obviously this one's been, used and abused, as you can see. Obviously it's got, stuff on the side and, whatnot. But it's still functioning. It still charges. It still does its stuff. And I'm quite surprised, after all this time, we're still getting updates. The camera on here is, it's still snappy, still goes, you can still record or whatever, HDR, the video is still there, the slow motion and the time lapse. It's starting to cut it on the bigger, obviously bigger phones, you got the more kind of, bells and whistles on the bigger ones. But as a day-to-day kind of cheap kind of iPhone, it's still usable. It's still, if this was my backup phone, I'll be happy with it, to be honest. It does everything that I want it to make phone calls, message people, social media and that sort of stuff. It is still worthwhile. I mean, obviously you got the iPhone 7, 6S, 7, 7S and 8, all that sort of stuff. They still cost quite a bit. I mean, the 6, you probably can get it for, for maybe £150, £120 over in the UK here. And, those are probably used prices. But, again, like I said, as a backup phone, I wouldn't have any issues using this phone. And like I said, the updates keep coming on this phone. The security makes it better. Some of the stuff that comes out. Obviously, you got even got the sensor on here. So security wise, it's up there with the best of them. Obviously, this is not with the haptic feedback. It's not that obviously that kind of sensor, but you still do get feel for the phone. But like I said, I mean, if you do pick up this kind of phone for a cheap price and whatever, it's still worthwhile getting, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, if this was my backup phone, I'll be happy with this phone still, even though it's been, like I said, used and abused so far, but dropped all over the place. It's still a great phone to use. And obviously yeah, it hasn't let me down, to be honest. I mean, the charges, if I need to charge it, it charges fine, and you can go into apps and whatever and stuff like that. It is still really quite good and snappy. And there's obviously going to be some lag, whatever, but obviously that's just testament to the chip and whatever. But it's still, for an A5 chip, it's still going. I can't complain too much about it. But again, that's just that's just the way it is now. I mean, obviously the chips, the games that will be, the apps are going to be on on the stores can be much more intensive. They'll be much more hungry. Obviously, the RAM's only 1 gig. It's only 1 gig. It's nothing to shout about, obviously. But you can't. I wouldn't be playing, the kind of really, really top intensive games. It'll take too long, and it probably might stutter. It might, might just get that extra time to do things. But otherwise, it's still, I mean, you can see when you go into the App Store as well, it's still doing nicely. It's not that much kind of lag on there. You can go through and whatever, and apps and whatever and stuff like that. So it's a still a decent phone to have, to be honest. And obviously, the more obviously you use it, if sometimes you can come back for nostalgia reasons. I mean, sometimes I swap my Sims out, for different phones, whatever, just to go back to it and see how it is, see how it uses and stuff like that. But it's still a great phone to use, to be honest. And again, like I said, Apple, they're great with their updates. And I mean, this is a couple of years for an old phone, and you're still getting updates for it, and that's just a testament to Apple. So again, I mean, I would 2019, if you get it for cheap, for a second kind of, phone, your backup phone, I'd definitely recommend this phone. I mean, it's still a great phone to have. It's just nothing to, shout about. But, again, the form factor, it's nicely weighted. It's still a great phone. You can use it with one hand easily, no problem. So, instead of having the 10, the 6S, the massive phones you get, with the bigger phones, you have to use maybe two hands. You might have to, you hold one hand and just do it, so forth, whatever. This is easy, just do one-handable stuff, like, so much more easier. And it's really still a neat phone. It still fits in perfectly, and it's a great phone. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it for 2019 if you can get the cheap second hand. It's still worth it. It's a brilliant phone to use. And yeah, that's my review. But again, leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know in the comments below. See how, if you're still, got an iPhone, or you're getting one, or whatever, if you're looking some of the older ones. But yeah, just let me know. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks.